My name is Robert Lawson. I'm a student at Concordia University and the Ethics in Sports program. And this is my presentation for qualities of character that I believe that is important in building any type of foundation or program that you may be associated with. The first thing I'll say in athletics, I don't believe that there is any pressure. What I believe that we see as pressure may be a lack of preparation, nervousness, emotions that are out of control. I believe that all of these things compound on top of each other and kind of build a snowball effect, but I don't believe that there is pressure at all. I believe that leaders, you as leaders and coaches, especially in the athletic administration, you create the emotional environments that you coexist in. As long as you're not too high, not too low, and you're kind of even keeled, and you're bright, and you're happy. I believe that others around you will feed off of that. In a sense, this will help your program. I believe that poise determines how you react to stress. I believe that your athletes are a direct reflection of leadership behavior. Your athletes will always mimic what you do and say as a coach and how you carry yourself. I believe that personality is better than ability. I know there's a lot of coaches out there that would, take some very high quality character athletes over low quality character athletes that are really, really athletic or star players, as people would say. So I believe that, with that, there it is important to find a balance. And I believe that poise may be acquired deliberately. One area where poise is extremely important is in athletics itself. I believe that with poise, it helps you better able to make decisions under pressure. The P word again. It helps regulate emotional influence of the performance. Again, I'm a key component and champion of you can't be too high, you can't be too low. It's got to be even keeled. As long as you're prepared, nothing out of the ordinary. Besides just your normal adversity will happen. I believe that stability builds trust. I believe that composure also eliminates escalation of the conflict. You see it all the time. When teams when things start kind of going downhill, there's a little bit of bickering and infighting. But I believe that as you have and maintain that composure and that poise, it eliminates that potential problem. Composure and leadership enhances concentration. Culture is a mirror of behavior of the leaders. So you as a leader and a coach, when you want to build this culture, you have to be able to maintain your poise and do things under pressure, which also, includes staying calm internally, strong control of body language, holding firm to principles, communicating in a respectful, articulated manner, acting with courage, and just remaining your authentic self. All of those things combined, what people see, do you have integrity? Are you doing the right thing when nobody's watching, or you're not going to get the praise? How do you handle adversity? Can you handle it in a calm manner? How do you resolve conflicts? Can you speak in a calm manner? You don't need to cuss. You don't need to yell. You don't need to do those type of things to get your points across. But you can still be very firm in that. And just remaining authentic, your authentic self, I believe that that's what creates a positive environment and an environment of respect in that culture. As a coach, you need calm communication, courtesy treatment of authorities, including your bosses and other coaches. Treat everybody firm, but fairly. Treat everybody in a respectful manner. Be receptive of things that people, any advice that people are offering you. Be receptive if people aren't receptive of your advice that you're giving. Because it could happen. Not everybody's going to agree. Everybody's going to have their own opinion of things, and you need to be open and receptive of that. Teaching through adversity. Not everything's going to go your way. Again, adversity is something that you absolutely cannot avoid. At some point during a game, a match, or anything, adversity is going to hit. But I believe that if you have strong poise and conviction and those things, adversity isn't going to affect you. Encouraging confidence in your athletes. Okay, this is what Poise does. You can take some athletes that are questionable initially and continue to pour in and continue to build them. And their confidence starts to skyrocket and their performances begin to improve. One thing I will say when it comes to poise and what you should look for from your administration, is just how you handle crisis management on a professional level. Again, you have to deal with other outside of athletic admin. You have to deal with school administration. You have to deal with parents. You have to deal with other coaches. So it's a balancing act. With all of these things going into a huge melting pot, which you have to control. You're controlling the temperature, you're controlling how everything is distributed and dispersed, and you're controlling all things, the communication coming in and out of that. Does your administration have clear decision making? Does your administration provide deserving conflict resolution? Do you, along as a coach and a leader, do you, along with your leadership, provide steady presence? Are you all always on one page, even though you may not be behind the scenes, you may not be on one page and one accord, but when you go out, do you provide a strong, united front? Are you making ethical judgment decisions, and how do you take into account for long-term perspective? What happens, this season? What happens at the end of the season? What happens next season and going into the one after that? What does your long-term approach look like? There's also things that, cause one to lose poise. Okay, ego-driven reactions. We see it all the time. Those that think they're bigger than the program. One monkey don't stop a show, as a friend would say. You as a leader, are you experiencing emotional overload? Are you shouldering all these burdens that you shouldn't have to, that you can seek help for with your administration or from your other coaches? Your lack of preparation. What does your preparation periods look like for building game plans, building the foundation of your culture? Do you have poor stress management? Is there an imbalance in life? Are you pouring into one thing more than you're pouring into another? Do you have a clear purpose? Those are things that, lead to a lack of poise. So the examples that make athletes potentially lose poise, bad call from a ref. They don't always get it right. We ain't all Patrick Mahomes, and the refs aren't always going to throw flags in our benefit. Leader controls the response. How does your coach react to, a bad call? Does your team remain composed? If your team can remain composed, then your outcome will improve. Poise of being the person and a purpose. Okay, purpose creates direction. It gives you something to look forward to, something to work towards, something for you to step by step, plan by plan on how to. Goals decrease, an emotional disorder. Faith anchors decisions. I know this is huge for me. I don't make any decisions without, leaning heavy into my faith and prayer. Values guide reactions. Okay. Balance. A balance in the wheel of life. Your mental health, your spiritual growth, your physical wellness, family relationships, career focus, and financial stability. How do you distribute your time and energy, evenly to all of these things? Goal setting enhances performance. Every year, I know that a lot of coaches set out and make their goals for what they would like to see for the season. Total season outcomes. What they would like to see from certain players that have been developing and helping build this foundation for this culture that you have. Planning reduces stress. This is huge. Preparation and planning go into everything because they are the keys that do so. Focus improves, confidence. Again, if you can pour into athletes, and focus directly on them and give them something to look forward to and build on. These are the things that build confidence, and confidence builds that poise.